Storm clouds were rolling in as we left New Orleans. Thunder followed us through the Ninth Ward, and the sky did that thing where it feels like it's deciding something. I programmed Maggie for home. She took us straight to I-10, which was at a dead stop. So I did what we'd just learned to do on this trip. I pulled over, ignored the interstate, and chose the road that felt right instead, US 90. Maggie hated that. She spent the next hour begging us to make a legal U-turn like an anxious backseat driver with trust issues. But we kept going. Past swamps, past houses on stilts clinging to the edge of the water, until suddenly, there it was. White sand, calm water, a beach we hadn't planned for. And I knew we weren't driving past it. For most people, a beach like this means vacation. Sunburns, sand in your shoes, a cold drink in your hand. But here on the coast of Pass Christian, Mississippi, the shoreline tells a different story. This sand doesn't just hide seashells, it hides entire worlds. Because for centuries, hurricanes haven't just reshaped this coast, they've buried it. And sometimes, they've dug it back up. This stretch of coast is known as the Pass. French explorers mapped it in 1699, but the town gets its name from Nicolas Christian Ladnier, who settled nearby a few decades later. What he probably didn't realize was that he'd picked one of the most beautiful and most unforgiving pieces of coastline in the Gulf. Today, Pass Christian feels peaceful. Homes face the water. Old oak trees line scenic drive like they're standing guard. But long before condos and rebuilt houses, this shoreline was the antebellum Riviera. Before the Civil War, wealthy New Orleans families fled the city's heat and yellow fever outbreaks by summering here. Greek Revival mansions lined the coast. Grand hotels welcomed guests arriving by steamboat. The Southern Yacht Club even held its first meetings and regattas here in 1849. It was elegant, optimistic, and built on the belief that paradise was permanent. That belief did not age well. Hurricanes don't just bring wind. They bring water that moves like a bulldozer. When a major storm hits this coastline, it pushes a massive dome of water ashore. Not waves, but the sea itself rising and advancing. Buildings float, foundations vanish, history gets erased. Pass Christian learned that lesson brutally in 1969. Hurricane Camille made landfall as a Category 5 storm with winds estimated up to 190 miles per hour. The storm's surge reached nearly 25 feet, higher than a 2-story house. The town was flattened. Landmarks disappeared. Entire apartment complexes were swept away. Foundations were all that remained. Then in 2005, Katrina came, and it did worse. While much of the country remembers Katrina for New Orleans, Pass Christian took one of the storm's most violent blows. Of roughly 8,000 homes, only 500 escaped damage. Even the Historical Society was destroyed. Its vault survived, but the documents inside dissolved into pulp. Once again, Pass Christian was nearly wiped clean. But storms have a strange side effect. They don't just destroy, they reveal. After Katrina, as residents cleared debris, they began finding things that didn't belong to the present. Heavy silverware, thick pottery shards, glass bottles, brick foundations emerging from beneath tree roots. The storm surge had stripped away the modern layers and exposed the 19th century underneath. The footprints of long-lost hotels and mansions reappeared, places already erased once by Camille, now uncovered again by Katrina. The storm that destroyed the town's paper history accidentally created a massive archaeological site. People rebuilding their homes were literally standing on the ghosts of summer resorts, steamboat vacations, and vanished lives. And beneath that layer, there was something older still. Long before French explorers, before resorts, before hurricanes had names, this coastline belonged to Native American communities like the Biloxi and Pascagoula. Their history isn't written in books, it's written in the land. Shell middens once lined this coast, massive mounds of oyster shells, pottery fragments, and animal bones, evidence of centuries of sustainable life tied to the sea. After major storms, people used to walk these beaches and find arrowheads and pottery shards pushed ashore. What hurricanes destroyed above ground, they uncovered it below it. Each storm peeled back another layer. Village, resort, subdivision, buried, revealed, buried again. Standing on this beach with my feet in the sand, my son nearby, dusty beside me, it didn't feel heavy. It felt quiet. The water was calm. The sky was still deciding what it wanted to do. But knowing what lies beneath this shoreline changes how you see it. This isn't just a beach. It's a graveyard of worlds. A reminder that nothing here was ever permanent. And somehow, that's what makes it beautiful. Past Christian refuses to disappear. And the storms that tried to erase it ended up becoming its historians. Sometimes the stories that matter most aren't in museums or books. Sometimes they're right under your feet. What forgotten history lies beneath the places you pass every day? If you believe the past is worth slowing down for, subscribe and keep wandering with us. And next time the road calls you somewhere unexpected, maybe listen.